Viridian, The Green Guide, by Clouds. My head in the clouds not coming down. Read by Oakshadow 5. Chapter 60. Harmony. Summary. The calm before... well, you know the rest. Izuku grunted as Denki threw him to the ground for the third time in a row. Oof! Good job, Denki. You're gonna be able to handle whatever UA throws at you. Denki rolled his eyes. Admit it, you're going easy on me. I have no idea what you mean, Izuku said innocently, then laughed. But seriously, I'm really not. You've gotten really good at controlling your power output, so that it temporarily paralyzes the muscles of your opponent so they can't fight back when you pin them. I could always counter you by wearing rubber-soled shoes and making sure that no other part of my body ever comes into contact with literally anything else, but I'd only be able to do that if I knew I was going to be fighting an electric clerk and was physically stronger than you. Which you are, Denki pointed out. Izuku shrugged. Maybe a little, but you've been getting a lot stronger. Denki sighed and collapsed on the grass. You really think I've got a chance at UA? I think they'd be crazy not to take you, Izuku said confidently. You're a good fighter, you're practically an amateur electrician at this point, and you're going to be a great hero. I think you're going to have to keep hyping me up all the way until the entrance exam, Denki said wryly. I still don't understand why you're not applying. I'm crackless, Izuku shrugged. There's only 40 spots in the hero course, and there's no way I can compete with hundreds of other kids with super powerful quirks, and I don't want to take one of those spots away from someone who deserves it. The only way I'd get into UA would be in the general education course, and if it comes down to that, I'm better off staying online. I guess you're right, Denki frowned. I still think you could beat me, though. It's alright, Izuku said. The world doesn't need me as a hero. Denki groaned and stood up. Ready to go another round? Izuku grinned. Always. Katsuki glared at Akiko as she shoved her shoulder again. Knock it off, pigtails. I'm trying to be a better person, and that doesn't include beating you up. Come on, Kat-chan, she grinned. We wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't annoy you every once in a while. Now come on, read us your list. I said fuck off. To his chagrin, the stupid nickname that Stain had spread had ended up sticking. Well, Akiko and Maki had started calling him that to piss him off, and Dabi absolutely refused to call him anything else, probably for the same reason. At first, he thought that'd be the extent of his torture, but no. Apparently, Dabi hadn't wasted any time in telling practically all of his infobroker contacts that Katsuki was the Kat-chan that Stan kept going on about. It had opened a lot of doors and meant he'd made a lot of connections that might have taken years to make otherwise, but that didn't mean he had to be happy that half the new people he met only knew him by some cutesy nickname. Now, Akiko, Bakugo doesn't have to share his list if he doesn't want to. Amplifier came up and laid a hand on Akiko's shoulder. Listing the things you've improved on can be intensely personal. Exactly, Maki said. There's no shame in being shy, Kat-chan. I'm not fucking shy, Katsuki yelled, blushing. Fine, I'll share my stupid list if it'll shut your exes up. Cross my heart and hope to die, Akiko smirked. She always got so smug when she got her way. So, no Ogawa today? Amplifier asked curiously. Akiko shrugged. Guess not. He's got perfect attendance though, so he's fine to miss one lesson. Oh, yeah, Amplifier waved her hand dismissively. He'd basically have to miss the rest of the course to fail out. I'm not worried about that. I was just curious if he was sick or something. Not that I know of, Maki shrugged. Probably just got busy, but we're hanging out tomorrow, so we'll be sure to tell him you said hi. It was weird that Ogawa hadn't shown up yet, but Katsuki understood. Stuff happened, and he'd been hanging around the underground enough to know that when someone lived in that grey area the way they did, sometimes shit happened without warning. Well, it was just part of being human, but it seemed to happen even more often to people in the underground than it did to just average Joes. The weirdest part of it all was that he still hadn't texted them. Normally, if he couldn't make it to one of the hangouts, he'd at least shoot them a message, but so far, Katsuki hadn't received anything. Whatever, he'd give the guy a hard time for leaving them on red when he saw him tomorrow. Now, I think Hachan was about to share something with the class? Akiko leaned over the back of a chair. So, tell us, kiddo, what are you most proud of? Now that they only had a few weeks left in the redemption course, Amplifier was having them look back on their progress and point out how they'd changed and come closer to who they wanted to be. Katsuki wasn't quite sure he was any more worthy of being a hero than he had been when he started this whole thing, but... "I'm not a bully anymore," he said finally. "That's obviously the first thing on my list. I don't beat up kids just for fun anymore, and I step in when I see other people doing it. My school is still a piece of shit, but once I get into UA, I'm out of here and I never have to see the stupid villains again." "Woohoo!" Akiko applauded, and Maki slapped him on the back. Katsuki rolled his eyes, but almost smiled, not that he wouldn't yell at anyone who tried pointing that out. "You're doing really well, kid," Maki said proudly. "I think that, out of all of us, you've probably made the most progress." "Don't sell yourself short," Katsuki grumbled. "At least Pigtails finally blocked her deadbeat ex's number." "Hey!" Akiko yelled indignantly. "I told you that in confidence!" "So what?" Katsuki smirked back at her as Maki laughed. Yeah, he may not be where he needed to be yet, but he'd learned he didn't need to be perfect to be on the right path. He'd have to work hard at UA to make sure he became the kind of hero Izuku could look up to, but he'd do it. He was the strongest he'd ever been. All for One was content. For once, things were going exactly to plan. Queen Bee was adjusting well to her new host and was on track to pass the UA entrance exam with flying colors. He had all the cracks he needed to create a prototype of his masterpiece, and, if the experiment went as well as the doctor assured him that it would, Tomorrow would make his perfect assistant by the time classes began at UA. Rumors were already beginning to circulate that Ahmed would be taking a teaching position at the school, right along Eraserhead and Present Mike, so everything was coming together perfectly. He simply needed to ensure that it stayed that way. There was nothing that All for One delighted in more, however, than using his enemies' own tricks against them so they knew exactly how powerless they were against him. If a troublesome vigilante insisted on playing a kazoo in the middle of a symphony and creating a distraction, then he would simply have to create a louder one. He would put a set of bagpipes out in the lobby, making sure to play just loud enough to distract the troublemakers from what was happening on stage, all while the main symphony continued unimpeded. With how close his plans were to creating perfect harmony, however, the distraction would need to be significant, just to ensure that everything ran as smoothly as he intended. All for One wasn't concerned though. He'd already almost killed the number 1 hero. The number 2 would be Child's Play. That was chapter 60 of Viridian the Green Guide. We are officially at the halfway point of this podfic. So, yeah, you can you can know that it's probably gonna take another either 6 months or 7 months. Probably closer to 7, because my next school years are going to be a hell of a ride. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this chapter, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!